doing the Chase and Big Joe show from noon to 3. And I swear to God, Chase had a whale of a time getting out of the studio because his head is so friggin' big now. after his game-winning goal line stand call went viral, it even showed up on the Pat McAfee show today. So I am surprised that Chase McCabe was actually able to exit the studio with how big his head has
I was
gotten.
wondering why I couldn't get through. I was like, man, this seemed like tighter in here for some reason. Maybe it was Chase's head, I guess. You know?
It's all gone to his head. But here's what I want to do. Connor Newt has Chase McCabe's game-winning, goal line, championship-winning call ready for us to play. He has Chase McCabe's call. It just so happens that we work with a professional play-by-play broadcaster. It's that man over there. It's Willy Donnick. So we're going to hear Chase's call. And then our master's teacher, our PhD over here, Willy Donnick, is going to analyze Chase McCabe's call. So Connor, play the call, then we'll have Willy break it down.
4th and 1 for all the marbles. He takes off. He's short. He throws it. It's off the hands of the Wayne Brown. The Cats win the championship. The Cats win the Arena Crown Championship.
Okay, Willy, your thoughts on Chase McCabe's big call?
I thought it was very good. I think the play itself is a tough call. And the reason is it's not a conventional play. The quarterback, for those that didn't see the play, he tries a quarterback sneak. He tries to
leap. Tim Tebow.
He tries to leap and extend the ball over the goal line and then quickly realizes that ain't working. He's not getting there. So he gets back and then quickly throws the ball into the end zone. You don't see that very often, right? You either see the guy leap over and try to just jam it in there and everybody's pushing and shoving and you look for the ref signal, or, it's a fake and then you go throw it. It's not like he was trying to improvise there. So that's tricky for the play-by-play person to break down. But I thought Chase, under the circumstances, did a good job of reacting quick, because that's hard to catch completely clean because it's such an unorthodox play. And then I thought he did a good job of the excitement.
The emotion was there.
The emotion. You capture the championship.
Yeah.
Boom.
There you go, Chase.
And let
you heard it from the PhD himself.
Then you use the crowd to your advantage, right? It's a big moment. You got to let the crowd, go alongside of your emotion that you throw out there. That was good.
You got to feel it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he did a good job.
I thought it was good.
What was the hand clap in the back?
That's high praise coming from you, Willy.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome.
There were some hand claps in the back. It was like,
was that Big Joe clapping?
No, that's Pat McAfee.
Because on the radio, especially on a play like that, the announcer can get really excited, but you don't really know what happened.
Exactly.
So I think Chase, he got the key part. He's short. Now he's going to throw it. It's incomplete. That's what happened. It happened quick. You got to react quick.
Congratulations to the Nashville Cats, friends of the show, Jeff Fisher, Jeff Jarrett, Greg Pogue, everybody over there with the Nashville Cats. Congratulations.
Fish got his championship.
They got a championship. Now, Jeff Fisher is the commissioner of the league, so he can't.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like, he's not, like, he started off as being the leader of the Cats, but he has to be more of a commissioner hat. But kudos to those guys, because number one, we've all been over there. It's a really nice building. It's really a good venue for what they're doing over there. They led the league in attendance. So they were building towards the championship, and now they've got a championship. So I think that should even make it easier to flourish next year. It's much more about trying to strengthen the league now, because the franchise,
it's exciting.
The franchise has got a lot going for it right now. That's
very exciting.
We need the rising tide to lift all boats across the league.
We have Jake Lyman's call as well from right here on 102.5 The Game. Let's hear Jake Lyman.
4th and goal from inside the 1. The snap. He goes over the top. Did he get there? He lobs it. It's incomplete. No time on the clock. The Cats are Arena Football 1 champions.
There you go. 2 exciting calls.
Once you say they're the champions, then it's good to just let the crowd take it. You notice, so Jake and Chase both did the tough part. You have to react quickly to you're seeing quarterback sneak, And then right as you're trying to get to the next thing is, did he make it? Did he not? He's throwing the ball. So that's a really tough call. And I thought both guys did a good job there.
Josh on our text line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, says, best in-person game I have ever been to in my 40 years by far.
Wow.
Middle
Wow.
Tennessee are champions. Again, congratulations to the Nashville Cats.
Don't
that,
say, watch what you say, Adam, about the championship.
I'm biting my tongue.
Yeah, that's two champions. Two championships.
I incurred the wrath of Nashville SC supporters.
You got Nashville
last
SC,
year.
and now you got the Cats.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go down that road again. That was a tough day. That was a tough day on the air. That was a tough day on social media. I looked at some of my Twitter mentions and I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
But I stand by it.
Yeah, I should have left that one closed.
In other local football news, the Tennessee Titans, they are out west. They will practice with the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow. We will catch up with Turron, Davneport, ESPN, NFL Nation Titans reporter at 5 p.m. instead of the usual 3:40 p.m. because TD is out west to cover the practice. Mike Herndon of PaulKaharski.com will join us at 4:20. But the Titans had the blue and white scrimmage on Friday at Nissan Stadium. They practiced here yesterday before making the journey out west. And I followed along, and man, oh man, a couple of things. First, and Connor Newt was there, so we'll get Connor's take on this. The Carnell Tate hype train is like one of those Japanese bullet trains that flies down the track at 200 miles an hour. That thing is gone, baby. With the catches he's been making in practice, he had a one-handed catch at the scrimmage, 3 touchdowns in one period yesterday for Carnell Tate. So if you were hoping that the Carnell Tate hype train would slow down, sorry, buddy. It's not happening. That train has left the station.
It seems like it's just building momentum, and that's good. That's good for Cam Ward. That's good for the other receivers as well as the offense, and how Dabo can expand his offense. When your rookie 4th overall is picking up on everything, that means now we can expand it even more. Quickly, I want to get back to something because they are in San Fran right now. And I was watching Dan Labertard, yes. And they were, because when they talk about the electric,
the substation.
Yeah, substation, next to it. You don't know how close it is or how you visualize, but then they show like a Google Maps of it.
It's like on the other side of the
fence.
across
the street. Yeah, it's like right there. And they wonder why they have 20 injuries this year, and they've had more than just about anybody in the NFL. And they can't, they really expect people to be that dumb, when the substation is like right where you at, Willy, and I'm right here.
But what is the science? This is again.
Well, they
opening
did.
up a can of worms
They
here,
did their own little investigation and came back that it ruled out the substation being a contributing factor to the injuries.
Electric waves or something are making your groins more susceptible to pulling, or more.
I don't know.
What's the theory
behind
as to why there are more injuries next to that thing?
But to say that it's not a factor at all, I think that would kind of be not
just to
not
write
truthful,
it off.
not fully truthful in a sense.
I haven't taken the time to understand what the theory is.
Okay, here we go. The theory that has been making the rounds on the internet, this is from a few months ago. The theory that has been making the rounds on the internet and has crept its way into the 49ers locker room suggests the Niners' lengthy injury list over the past decade plus can be attributed in part to excessive exposure to electromotive force, or EMF. The 49ers have trained in Santa Clara since the late 1980s, with the substation coming in a few years later. The station expanded in 2014 in conjunction with the opening of Levi's Stadium. And some leading professionals have said it's nonsense. And the 49ers themselves hired someone to come in to test the electromotive force, and it was fine.
Right. But what does the electronic motive force, why does that
body?
make me more prone to get an injury?
It doesn't say, huh?
Why?
I don't know. But you got to, you can't just rule it out, period. Like, you've had a rash of injuries. And the only reason I bring that up, and obviously, listen, the Titans are not going to be down. Yeah, the Titans are not going to be down there long enough, I don't think, for that to happen. But you never know.
I'm imagining
that's
Cam Ward.
Yeah.
1 or 2 days, is that different than just repeated over the entire season? Like, when does your body start feeling the effects of these EMFs?
I'm imagining Cam Ward coming back to Nashville like glowing.
Like, you can see electronic waves coming off
You can see his thoughts just glowing out of his helmet.
His spidey sense.
There we go. Talking about Spider-Man. So I started in this weekend. But going back to the Titans this weekend, I think that hype train with Carnell Tate has gained force, like I said. It only helps the offense in general. I think the offense picked up a little steam because I think before that, we were talking about more so of the defense, and there were some plays here and there. But I think over the weekend, it seemed like that offense got rested somehow, some way, and they came out. But that's typically how camps are, especially when you have young teams that have some talent. Usually the defense starts off really well. The offense is sort of lagging behind. You may get a player or two here or there, but then the offense starts to pick up steam. And not that the defense is starting to lag off, but the offense starts to catch up, and you see more plays like the Carnell Tate. And I expect you will see sort of this ebb and flow. Hopefully we'll see more of the up, especially when they scrimmage against the 49ers tomorrow.
Okay, I don't know who Peter Cowan is, which is a great way to start something. I don't know who this is. Peter Cowan, this was on Substack from I don't know when, somewhat recently. He claimed that low-frequency electromagnetic fields can degrade collagen, weaken tendons, and cause soft tissue damage at levels regulators call safe.
Okay.
Degrade collagen,
but there are a lot of
weaken
people
tendons, and cause soft tissue damage.
A lot of people have debunked that, though.
Yes.
But that's just for the
it's
average person. Wouldn't you say that was for the average person walking down the street that is not running, that is not jumping, that is not tackling people? Yeah, for them, it may not be harmful, but when you add in the strenuous activities over time, does that cause the deterioration in the cartilage a little bit faster? I'm no scientist. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. I know a little, but not a lot, and not enough to carry that conversation. So let's move it back to the Titans. And
well, let's get Connor's take on the practice, which was delayed a little bit because of the weather, I know, on Friday night. But first of all, what was the atmosphere like?
It was nice. It wasn't, a fully packed house. The lower bowl was mostly filled. You could sit just about anywhere, so that was nice. But it was beautiful weather overall. It looked like it didn't rain a drop over at Nissan Stadium. Beautiful weather. The environment was nice. You saw Cam Ward come out, and the entire place went nuts. There was a little bit of a pop for Herndon Hooker as well for some reason. Well, I know the reason, but slight booze for our boy T-Rack. They didn't feel it. It was pretty funny. But overall, the environment is nice. The Carnell Tate train is taking off. And based on what I saw Friday and what I saw yesterday, it's deserved right now. He's exciting. He's fun to watch. Chase McCabe was not the only one who was on Pat McAfee today. I was.
Oh. So take that.
So suck it. But there was, you probably saw on social media, the one-handed grab from Carnell Tate. That was the play of the night. And the entire arena, all lower bowl of it, went, ooh. So I am excited about this offense. They've been carving up the defense the past couple of days, which I don't know if that's because the offense is good or the defense sucks. We'll find out. But overall, I think we learned a lot on Friday. Cam Ward looked great. Carnell Tate looked great. Nick Singleton looked really good, which he's placed last on the depth chart right now, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But good practice, good stuff to see from Friday from the blue-white scrimmage.
I'm curious about when we talk about the hype train.
Mm-hmm.
Connor's mentioned the one-handed catch, which was everywhere. And then a few days before, Adam, you asked Carnell about the one catch that we all were there, the deep ball. The hype train could be that. If those are the only two plays that he made the whole camp, and those are the only two you saw, you'd be like, this guy's amazing. But the reality is those are just 2 reps out of hundreds that have gone on. I don't look at those as much. I don't make any assumptions based on that. Like last year, Cam Ward had the one throw in the open scrimmage at practice, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, what an amazing," But that's really not what quarterbacking is about in the league. It's the play in, play out, decision making. So the capability of making a great play isn't what I'm worried about with either Ward or Tate. I've been impressed with the play in, play out stuff, though. That's what I'm seeing is at the end of every practice. I'm like, man, I like how he moves. I like his makeup. He's making the plays when they're throwing it to him. He seems to know what he's supposed to be doing. That's what I'm excited about, not the highlight plays.
Rob says, I don't know my thoughts on EMF, but I have seen enough athletes switch to wired-only headphones that I stopped wearing my AirPods. So we'll see if the Titans come back as like superheroes by being in the presence of this substation. Hopefully they come back with superpowers and not injured. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans. Once more, congratulations to the Nashville Cats, 2026 Arena Crown champion. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Connor mentioned it. The Tennessee Titans have unveiled their first unofficial depth chart. But there was something on it that caught Derek Mason's eye, and I want to discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. I'm going to see who's listening very closely because you know what? I usually don't do this early. We're going to give away tickets. If you want a 4-pack of tickets to see the Nashville Sounds take on Indianapolis at First Horizon Park this Thursday, be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 right now will win a 4-pack of tickets to see the Nashville Sounds take on Indianapolis at First Horizon Park this Thursday. We'll be out there. You can be too if you're caller number 3. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 1025. The game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Congratulations to Claire on winning that 4-pack of tickets to see the Sounds on Thursday. We'll be out there. So will Claire. We have more opportunities to win Sounds tickets later this week. So if you missed out, keep listening. Connor Newt is in charge of music today, and I have no idea what it is after one song, what the theme is today.
You know what that is?
We're going to play a little game today.
Mhm.
It is superhero themes, and you have to guess who it was.
I know that one.
That one's easy.
Yeah, that one's easy.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
That was Spider-Man, right?
That was all. It was
all the
yeah.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
I mean, well, it was the Marvel
Yeah,
intro.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
And people think I'm the nerd on the show.
No, this is payback for doing teen dramas that I had never heard of.
Willie and Derek did quite well on that. So
Yes, that was not my strong suit, but I feel like we held our own in a tough category there.
Four out of 6 ain't bad.
in this one. We should
4 out
score
of
better
6
in
ain't bad. So the Tennessee Titans over the weekend unveiled their unofficial, let me emphasize that word again, unofficial depth chart. But you know what? It's always fun to look at the depth chart. And there's a lot on here that you probably already know. Like, this may come as a shock to some of you, but Cam Ward is listed as the starting quarterback for the
Oh,
Tennessee
no.
Titans. Your, at the moment, projected starting offensive line, left to right, Dan Moore Jr., Peter Skoronski, Austin Schlottman, Cordell Volson, J.C. Latham. But there was one thing, Derek Mason, that you highlighted when you looked at the unofficial depth chart that I find interesting. Fair to say you were slightly surprised with
Yeah.
Alec Ayamander's placement on this depth chart?
Yeah, but I slightly is probably the best way to classify it because I thought eventually it would happen. But because of the way Alec has played in this camp and what he showed in the mini camps, I think the coaching staff and the front office is looking at him as a guy that's ascending. A guy that can be a real playmaker, a guy that fits their offense and what they want to do. It was interesting because they had him behind Tate at first as the X. And I thought they put him behind there because, hey, listen, push the rookie a little bit more, see what he can do. Don't put him behind the vet. We know what the vet can do. Now we know what the rookie is capable of doing, and they're okay over there. And not just that, Alec is also starting to play, really well, practice really well, and he's developing. So their thing is put him at the X, put him at the Z, because he's going to push and ultimately, in their mind, supersede Calvin Ridley because he's their future. Calvin Ridley's not their future. He's a guy that's going to help them win this year, hopefully. But beyond this year, they don't see him in their plans. They see Alec in their plans, and they like what they see as far as his play in practice. So they visualize, and like I said, they visualizing him ultimately, at least by the middle of the season, he's going to start getting more of the reps than Calvin Ridley. Now it's put on Calvin to make sure that he stays relevant within the offense. But we know Calvin has had a hard time at staying healthy, and he's had the drops, portions of the last 2 seasons he's been here. So they're looking at it as if this young kid under a rookie contract is showing us that he can be our number 2 and a high value number 2, we're going to put him in a position to do just that. I've seen this game being played. I saw this game play with Kevin Dyson, rightfully so. Kevin was their number 1 pick. And eventually Kevin was behind someone. But then you saw as the season started to go and into the next year, Kevin earned his right to be a starter. That's going to be Alec. Barring any injury, unless Calvin Ridley comes out and shows that he's more the Calvin Ridley that was in Atlanta than he is now, Alec is going to push him out of that position. And it's just the nature of the game. You got a young ascending player going against a veteran guy who has been prone to injury, and he's had some difficulties at time catching the football. This is a no-brainer. I'm surprised. I'm just surprised it happened this early.
I was just about to say, Willie, I'm wondering if that transition is going to happen sooner rather than later. Because one of my questions through the first couple of weeks of training camp, and admittedly, I have not been out to every practice. Connor Newt's been out to every practice. The two of you have been out to more practices than I have. But one of my questions is, where is Calvin Ridley? Like, I know he's on the field.
I think he's looked pretty well,
but
pretty good.
But this is something that I've thought about. The only time I feel like I've really heard anything about Calvin Ridley at the beginning of training camp, or through the beginning of training camp, was when he apparently lost 15 pounds because he ate bad Chipotle. Like, I feel like that's the only time we've really heard anything substantial about Calvin Ridley. And I know, Willie, that training camp stats, look, we have talked about how, you can't put too much stock into training camp stats. But I saw this note in Jim Wyatt's write-up on the Titans website, and I found it to be interesting. He said, quote, Wan'Dale Robinson caught 4 more passes on Sunday, and through the 8 training camp practices has a team-high 26 grabs. The next closest is Alec Iamaner with 21, then Tajay Spears with 19. Spears with 19. If you're wondering, Carnell Tate has 16. So I was like, where's Calvin Ridley? Shouldn't he be somewhere up there? I know, again, training camp practices, stats.
He missed a practice, too.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
That contributes.
But I just feel like we really haven't talked a lot about Calvin Ridley.
Well, look, I don't know how the catches are tabulated. For example, if I catch one in a 7-on-7, does that count?
You can call Jim Wyatt and ask him.
It should.
You think it should?
If it's 7-on-7, yeah, I think it should count.
If I catch one in the scrimmages or the practices that don't have pads as opposed to the ones with pads, is there a difference with that? Like, all catches are the same in this, right? I'm assuming, to me, that's not how I'm evaluating how the receivers are doing. I'm curious because, Derek, you have been saying you really have liked what Alec Iamaner has been doing. You've also said you like Ridley in the role that it appears they're grooming him for, and that is play to his strengths. He can be a deep threat. He can really excel with certain types of routes. And if that means he catches less passes but's more effective, I'm good with that. I don't see Iamaner as anywhere close to the same type of receiver as Ridley.
He's a different type of receiver.
That's what. But they're competing for the same position on this depth chart.
Yeah, you're right. They're competing for the same position, but they're two different body types.
Right.
In this position, Calvin Ridley to me he's a speedster. He's a guy that, and when I mean speedster, I'm not talking about, Tyreek Hill type speed. There's only so many of those guys in the league. But when I say speedster, he's a guy that is more so known for his deep ball than anything. That's who Cal. He was that in college. He was that his first couple of years in the NFL. Then he got injured and all the other stuff happens. So he wants to get. Alec is everything they want at this position. He's big, fast, and physical. Those 3 things they want at that Z position. And he just needs to be, and that's what he's showing now. He just needs to be more consistent at catching the football. Last year, he wasn't consistent. And get it, you can throw a lot of reasons in there for why he wasn't as consistent. But this year, he's shown that I am a consistent pass catcher. Not only that, I look faster, I look bigger, and I look stronger. So if I'm looking at that in camp, and both of these guys are, if it's even close, who do you think they're going to go with? They're going to go with the young, stronger, more physical prototype of what they're looking for in his offense. He's nothing like nobody on their team. Alec Iamaner. Nobody on that team has what he, like a total package. Nobody. Because Tate hasn't built up that strength yet. He doesn't have that NFL strength. He's a big, tall guy, lanky guy. But he doesn't have the strength of an Alec Iamaner. He doesn't have that physical presence yet. So Alec has everything. He has the speed. He has the ability to run routes. He's physical. He just needs to catch the ball more consistently. He is Gabe Davis. If he can catch the ball more consistently, and Gabe tended to be at the beginning of his career, he wasn't as consistent catching the ball. then he had a portion in there where he was, and he sort of reverted back. But if he can be Gabe Davis or a little bit more, they got their perfect number 2, because he gives you. He's a slight version of, and people don't freak out here. He's the physical presence of AJ Brown. That's what he is.
Iron Man.
Okay. He's the physical presence of. He's not AJ Brown by no means, but he's that physical presence of an AJ. They don't have that on their team right now.
When I hear Gabe Davis, I feel like Gabe Davis is one of, if not the ultimate boomer bust wide receiver. He could have a game with 5 catches for 175 yards and 2 TDs, and then the next day next week he's got 1 catch for like 12 yards.
But let's take that, because I think that relates to at least my vision of what Ridley could be for this team. And you tell me, Derek, I look at how the 3 positions interact. If Ridley is the best at getting behind the defense and being a deep threat, he could be what Adam's talking about is the boom or bust.
Mm-hmm.
But he's clearing out the space, the threat. If he can have a few of those and burn some defenses, isn't that opening things up for Robinson and Tate, the people you want to throw the ball to more anyway? Is that better than an Iron Man? Or that's why I'm curious how the usage and role definition goes into. Because if we agree that Ridley is the best deep threat they have, he may not have to have a ton of targets if he's just doing his job of being the guy that is the threat and burns some defenses, but at the same time opens up the areas of the field for the other guys.
Yeah, he can be. And I will continue to say it. I think Ridley, his role for this team is to be their deep threat. He's that guy that more than likely, because he's a veteran guy and everything else, he understands how to get open down the field. And he's proven that since he's been here. And he also proved that he can't stay as healthy, or he has he has the dropsies for some reason. But again, I'm trying to look for, because yes, he fits Dabo's offense. Dabo was in Buffalo when Gabe Davis was in Buffalo.
Okay.
They had Stephon Diggs, who is their number 1, who is Tate. They had Cole Beasley, who is Wan'Dale Robinson. And they want to have Gabe. They want to have Alec Almighty because he fits that more physical presence that can get downfield, that can beat you because of his physical presence. They want that more so, I think, than a Calvin Ridley. Not to say that Calvin Ridley's not a good player, because I think Calvin's still a good player. But what they want at that position, based on what Dabo has had in prior stints with being offensive coordinator, it's a Gabe Davis type of receiver as your number 2. And I think Elliott fits that perfectly.
I'm reading this from The Athletic. After Gabe Davis left Buffalo to sign with Jacksonville a couple of years ago. So in his contract year, 2023, Davis was held to 2 or fewer catches in 8 of his 16 games played this season. And in 4 of those, he did not have a reception.
That's a dilemma for a fantasy.
Exactly.
Yes.
But if it's working for the offense, which that was a really good offense, then he's doing the job. He's playing a good role. So I think that what happened to Corey Davis. Fantasy owners were like, well, I never drafted Corey Davis. Why would I want Corey Davis on my fantasy team? But in that offense for that year or two, he had a good, solid role. You knew exactly what he was being used for and doing it. That's what I want to see. This is a good problem. If Iron Manor is really pushing Ridley, but if Ridley is still a viable deep threat, that's a good thing, especially if Tate is doing what we all hope he's going to be doing. It looks very encouraging that he can be significant right out of the gate.
If they can get Iron Manor to do, and obviously the numbers have to be a little bit bigger, because each year under Dabo, he got better. He averaged 17 yards a catch in 20.
Gabe Davis. 15
yards in 21. 22, he averaged 17, which was his best season. He had 48 catches for almost 1,000 yards with 7 touchdowns. That's what. And then the next following season, he came back and he averaged 16 yards, almost 17 yards a catch. That's big play. Gabe Davis was an inconsistent pass catcher as well. That's why his numbers as far as catches were so low, because he was just inconsistent. But he also was their big play guy. They want Elliott to be more consistent. He's showing that. If he can show more consistency, he's going to be sort of you may not look at him as your number one because he's not going to be, but he is your big play threat.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans' first unofficial depth chart. Alec Iamender, Calvin Ridley. 615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your reaction coming up next. Plus, something I read about one quarterback on the outs that I think can apply to Will Levis as well. We'll discuss that too. 615-737-1025. Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
The years Dabo was there. I know Wandale, but he was like a de facto number 2, then 1, because Neighbors got hurt. But I thought they had another guy that was doing okay.
Did they have Jalen Hyatt?
Yeah, but Jalen Hyatt never did. Yeah, they cut him. Didn't they cut him, or they thinking about cutting him?
Let's see. Last year, 2024. Malik Neighbors caught 109.
They had Darius Slayton.
Darius Slayton's 39 catches. That's not much. 573. Tyrone Tracy is a running back.
They never had that number 2 either in New York.
Jalen Hyatt only caught 8 passes 2 years ago.
They never had that.
But let's look at the year before.
Selection of GIA certified diamonds in every shape and size direct from the cutters, so you can create your perfect ring from the ground up.
Darius Slayton.
Special event incentive, 0% interest financing and up to $5,000 in savings. Genesis Diamonds is 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Green Hills and Cool Springs. Don't just find a ring, find the one.
Welcome to Huntington Bank. We're new here, but we've been around since 1866. Long enough to know that insightful bankers, great products, and customer service make a big difference. Let's give more from money. Switch to Huntington Bank. Welcome. Eligibility requirements apply. Some features may require movement.
Looking for your next big career move? Busy Bee is hiring immediately. We're looking for experienced pros to join our team as a plumbing project manager and HVAC project manager, comfort advisor. If you have residential plumbing installation experience, HVAC or plumbing sales experience, no current codes, and take pride in doing the job right, Busy Bee wants to hear from you. Valid driver's license, clean background, and drug screen required. Bring your skills to Busy Bee. Applying today. Call 775-783.
Darius Slayton is the only other significant wide receiver.
They never had their number 2 either.
No.
He wants 3 wide receivers he can depend on.
Is there a topic we can do about the Titans in the red zone? Because I think a lot of Carnell Tate's success so far has been in the red zone.
Yeah, we can see.
And I feel like the Titans were better in the when they got into the red zone, they were good in the red zone. I think. I seem to remember some breakdown.
I know 2 years ago they were not good. I don't know about last year. We can the FTN fantasy.
Old school.
DMase, Vingen and Donick 1025 the game. Connor's theme, superhero themes, right?
This should be easy.
This is an easy
Oh,
one.
this
man.
is so easy.
This may come as a surprise to most, if not all of you. I am not a superhero guy. I'm just not.
Very, very sad.
Yeah, this one is. I like. I mean, I
Is
For
this?
Arlo's
think if
sake.
I think Arlo would recognize this probably if he played this for him.
Is this Superman?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Fun fact:
Mhm.
a young Willy Donick
Ah.
in New York, all county baritone horn in the 5th grade, and got to play this on a record. I have a record.
You got it, and we're
The
just now
all-county
knowing about
band.
this, Willie.
Yeah, and they made a record of the all county bands, and we played Superman. We played this, so we had this. We were playing that song. That wasn't it. That
Willie,
wasn't our rendition. It's a little dumbed down, I would say, but it was good.
Willie, you're just now telling us
That I was all county.
no that you got vinyl. You on
I
vinyl?
got vinyl.
man.
I did. Yes, I have
You're
vinyl.
on vinyl, man.
Yes.
Willie is the only person on vinyl
No, there's
on
like
this show.
I don't know 50 people in the band, so you can't really. I didn't have a solo or anything like that.
But still, you were
I'm
on
in there.
vinyl.
Yeah, I'm in there.
There you go. I'm not. Adam's not. Connor's. Are you on vinyl, Connor?
Not on
No.
vinyl. I'm on everything else, but not on vinyl.
Ugh.
Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hunted.com, and welcome in our friend Adam in Portland. Adam, thank you for calling and waiting. Go ahead.
Ridley is the weirdest situation to me on this team, like left. Because he's like the sandwich in the back of the fridge that you find, man. Like, he's like, he shouldn't be here. He doesn't go with the rest of us. It's the same feeling I had about L'Jarius Sneed, man. Like, it was time to move on. I feel like it's weird that we didn't. And even though he's here, he's still, like, he hasn't earned reps over Io Manor. That's just weird, man. I don't know. Like, if you're trying to move forward and be like, just pushing the same message, it seemed like Ridley should be an afterthought, man. I don't know. I just can't get on board with that.
Thanks, Adam.
I think Ridley's job, listen, he has to go out there and make plays and have a positive impact on his team. But there's a reason why, because Adam brought up L'Jarius Sneed. There's a reason why that they chose to keep Calvin Ridley, because they believe that his veteran leadership in such a young wide receiver room with a young quarterback is paramount. Do they want him to go out there and play really well? Absolutely they do. I'm not saying that they don't, but I think he's been a good teammate. Let's just say he's been a really good teammate since he's been here. And he's sort of being rewarded because they could have just released him without even doing a, restructuring a contract, and maybe they would have took a hit. Yeah. But they know he still can play, but his veteran leadership means a lot to this organization, and it means a lot to that room. So I believe eventually you'll start to see more and more of Ellick if he continues to go the way it has been, and you will see less and less, at least game time, less and less of Calvin Ridley, because you got to understand, it's really going to be 3 guys out there at all time, maybe that 4th. Because DK, I don't know how they look at DK. Is he a specialist, sort of like Wan'Dale Robinson, from the standpoint of he's our slot guy? Wan'Dale's one of the best slot guys in the league, but he's our slot guy. Is that DK? So if that's DK, they're not looking to put him at X or Z. They're just looking to put him in there when Wan'Dale's not. Well, where does that leave Calvin Ridley if indeed Ellick continues to ascend?
Keep this in mind. Last year, the Titans ran out of 3 wide receiver sets 70% of the time. Second most in the NFL. From what I'm seeing in the practices, that's still predominantly the set they're going to run out of. I don't know if that is just what they believe is Cam's comfort zone. That's what he sees the best. That's what he knows the best. I get the suspicion that that's some of it. And now you hope that you've really upgraded that slot guy in Robinson. So if they're going to run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, Derek, how much does that allow you to be able to play the fourth guy. Like, as they try to work this out, right? Ridley, Iomanner alternating in some form in
I
the
think
same
it'd be
spot.
more Ridley and Iomanner going back and forth.
According to the depth chart,
Yeah,
that's how
then
it's
it
listed.
will be Calvin Ridley and Tate and Bryce Oliver. I think Bryce Oliver is behind Tate as of now on the unofficial depth chart. You're going to start seeing, and listen, full disclosure, I hate this whole rotating the receivers. I hate that with a passion.
Something we've learned about
I
DMase.
hate it with a passion. It's like, dude, you shouldn't come out. I should take myself out the game. Don't tell me we're not rotating. I've conditioned myself in the offseason to make sure I can go 100 plays per game if I need to. I tell you when I don't. But it seems like they just rotate those receivers. And this is the new day and age, so I get it. But they're going to have to keep their best three on the field at all times. And maybe that's Calvin Ridley. Maybe that's Alec Iomanner. But once they start to get in the flow in this thing, and if Alec proves that he's the guy, you're going to start to see, less and less of Calvin Ridley. We saw it on Hop, but Hop was on a different phase of his career. You started seeing less and less of him, but they were getting ready to sort of kind of trade him, and they understood. He understood it too, in a sense. But I think you're going to start to see that more with Calvin if Alec continues to ascend. You'll start to see less and less of Calvin Ridley. He's still going to be in the game plan, but he's not going to be in the game plan the way Alec will be. I'm just telling you from my experience. I've seen it across 15 years, different positions. When that young guy starts to show that he's maturing and he's developing, sometimes the older veteran guy ends up, getting the short end of the stick up, because of that's happening.
Craig says, we don't need a speed guy. We have Chim Dike. I would try to get what I can for Ridley. I don't need a guy who is afraid to go up and catch the ball. The same way Adam wants the Preds to get rid of all of the old guys on the team, I want the Titans to get rid of all of the unproductive players. Rick says Ridley has elite footwork. He's definitely worth $22 million for your rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback to have a weapon like that. If he can just cut out the drops, he could be invaluable. Rick also says, can Alec Iomanner possibly be Deebo Samuel?
No, he's not.
I'm not reminded of him at all.
I don't think of him as Deebo. Because to me, again, I thought Deebo had a really good 2 or 3 years. But he's not your prototypical wide receiver. Deebo's not. I thought he was a good player, but I just didn't think, when I'm thinking top wide receivers, based on production, yes. But when I just base it on the ability to play that position and you don't have to do no gimmicky things, I didn't consider Deebo as one of the top ones.
Yeah, I don't see the similarities between Alec Iomanner and Deebo Samuel. And again, maybe I was a bit harsh on Ridley. I just haven't noticed him or heard about him as much as the other wide receivers. Obviously, Carnell Tate grabbing all of the headlines. Alec Iomanner, you could argue, is the quote-unquote star of training camp thus far. But I was like, when have I heard anything about Calvin Ridley? Oh, yeah, when he couldn't keep down this Chipotle and apparently lost 15 pounds, which seems like a lot of weight to lose. I mean, how bad was it?
But I could picture a couple of deep passes that Ridley has caught that had Derek buzzing on the sideline of he can still get deep.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm clinging to that. And also Steve Smith's evaluation that fell in line. It's not like DMase and Steve Smith are calling each other and comparing notes, but Steve Smith had the same observation that under Daboll, Ridley, who he evaluates as not a great route runner of the whole tree, but there are certain routes and things he does well. If you could play to that, that could be effective. So I have different expectations for Ridley, but I'm not going to deny that what you guys are saying is generally true. If there's a veteran that's kind of past his prime versus a guy that you think has got a chance to be around on his rookie contract for a while, the advantage is going to go to the younger, less expensive guy.
But
right?
it doesn't mean, because I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying about Ridley. It doesn't mean that he's not going out there and, he's not productive and doing his job, because I think he is. He's going out there and he's doing the job that they're asking him to do. The bad part about it is because he's a veteran, you know, it has to be something wow for everybody to sort of pay attention, because you got Tate there, then you got Alec ascending. And if you're just consistent and you're just doing your job, sometimes just doing your job when you got a young buck behind you, that ain't enough. You got to do more. You got to show more, especially a guy like Ridley who has had 2 up and down seasons.
615-737-1025. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans. They are out west in Santa Clara, California. They will practice with the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow. Time TBD, but they will practice tomorrow in California. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, I mentioned this before. I was reading something from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated about one high-profile young quarterback who is on the outs. And it made me wonder about the Titans' handling of Will Levis. We'll discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home with the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willy, Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. The Tennessee Titans will play a preseason game Thursday night at San Francisco, an 8 p.m. Central start on NFL Network. Is it also on News 2? It's always on News 2, right?
It should be on News 2. The preseason always is on News 2, yeah.
Either way, you'll be able to watch it 8 p.m. Thursday in San Francisco. And I was reading something interesting from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated. He's on his training camp tour. He goes all over the country. And he emptied the notebook, so to speak. And he had this really small note on Anthony Richardson. One that I found interesting in general, and two made me think about Will Levis. Here's what Albert Breer wrote about Anthony Richardson. Quote, "The deployment of Anthony Richardson in the preseason will be interesting for the Colts, of course. He elicited next to no trade interest this offseason. So how the Colts choose to showcase him in the games could determine whether or not he's on the team in a month." And I'm wondering if the Tennessee Titans are having the same conversation about Will Levis. You could replace Richardson's name in that graph from Albert Breer, put in Will Levis, and it would make complete and total sense. It's the same situation. Now, of course, Anthony Richardson, a much higher draft pick than Will Levis, but the point remains. And I did see the Will Levis memeable moment from the scrimmage on Friday. Connor Newt, you were live and in living color at Nissan Stadium. Was it as bad as it looked on the internet?
It was worse.
Oh, God.
It was much worse.
Oh, no.
You
Now-
can literally hear the Looney Tunes sound effects that happen.
For those who haven't seen it, describe what happened to Will Levis.
So Will Levis rolls to the right outside of the pocket, is looking for someone downfield, and slips from his foot. His feet slip out from in front of him, and he, slides his feet like 4 or 5 times, lands on his back, and still tries to throw the ball at the defender and bounces off the knees. But it looked like me at the T line at one time.
Oh, man. Did he have to? Because it seemed like he didn't have to leave the pocket from the clip I saw.
He didn't. I don't think he did. I think he just was looking for some room.
Well, that's not good for Will Levis.
No, it is not. But Willie, if you were the Titans and you're in the situation you're in with Will Levis, you heard Albert Breer there on Anthony Richardson. I'll read it again from Sports Illustrated. Quote, "The deployment of Anthony Richardson in the preseason will be interesting. He elicited next to no trade interest this offseason." Sounds like Will Levis. "So how the Colts choose to showcase him in the games could determine whether or not he's on the team in a month." If you were Mike Borgonzi and Robert Saleh, how would you go about divvying up the playing time among the quarterbacks in the preseason? And is there any part of you that would want to play Will Levis more than you think in an effort to showcase him around the NFL?
To our credit, we discussed this last week, and this very thing before Albert Breer. So I feel good about our level of discussion if Mr. Breer is bringing this up, because the Colts are different in that they have a veteran quarterback that they absolutely don't want to get hurt in the preseason. So that's an easy thing to say, hey, no problem. Daniel Jones, you sit over here. Let's just play the heck out of Anthony Richardson, and you can do exactly that. I think the Titans absolutely could go that route, showcase Will Levis, but does that, and maybe Trubisky's the guy that doesn't really need to play in the preseason, but what is their mindset with a new coach, new offensive coordinator, new offense, very young quarterback, rookie wide receiver, some moving pieces on the offensive line? How much do you want your ones to play in the preseason? I think it starts with that, because as much as you'd like to get something for Levis, it can't be the priority over getting your entire team ready.
I think you got to figure out, and Saleh has said it, Borgazzi has said it, you're just trying to find the best 53. And everybody understands that Cam's going to be the quarterback. So Cam's reps, when you're talking about the big scheme of things, it really does it because he's the starter. He needs to get his rep, but he's the starter. They're not looking to put him in preseason games like that. So you just got to understand the bulk of the reps will be taken by either Trubisky or Will Levis. I think it would be. I don't think they would benefit themselves, meaning the Titans, if they're looking to move him and get something for him, meaning Will Levis. I don't think it would be beneficial to them if they don't play him, because again, even though Saleh said, "Oh, this is not a backup competition. It's Trubisky's job, and the only way he's going to lose that job is both his arms fall off, and that ain't happening no time soon. At least I don't think it will, and nobody else does. But he's your number 2." So in that, yeah, you want to give him some reps. You want to get your starting quarterback some reps. But I think what's important too is if that's your goal is to get something for your second round pick, then you got to play him some. Either make that last game all about Will Levis and Hendon Hooker, I don't know. But Trubisky's not trying to win a position. He got his position, and you don't want Cam to get hurt. So you're not going to play him as much. So the logical thing would be, okay, well, let's see what Will Levis can do. Not for us. This has nothing to do with us as far as keeping him on our team, unless he just shows something he ain't never showed before.
Aren't there some teams that basically take these practices and they're evaluating much more about what happens at the practices? In the game, I've seen teams, they don't play any of the starters at all. So you could do it that way.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why it's going. They wouldn't help themselves by not playing Will Levis. You see what I'm saying? Because they can't nobody see his reps in practice. The other scouts don't see his reps in practice. Only thing I can go by is what I see in the game. And if the Titans are looking to move him, because it's not a competition at the number 2 quarterback, it's Trubisky. So if they're looking to move him, then it would behoove them to give him some type of run in the preseason, more run than anybody, I would think.
I'm imagining I am a relatively new sports parent. My son, who turns 5 later this month, played soccer last year. That was his first organized sport. And you know how it works.
Organized.
Yes.
4-year-old soccer.
Exactly.
And you know how it works with quote unquote organized
Yes.
4-year-old soccer. Everybody gets a turn, right? To score a goal, to make a big play. We want everybody feeling good. If I'm the Titans, I'm treating Will Levis like I would treat my 4-year-old son in that situation. All right, let's just give him an easy one. Let's give him a red zone. Let's give him a red zone drive. Let him score a 5-yard touchdown, easy pass. Let's let Will Levis feel good about himself. Everybody, it's like a participation trophy, but just, boost his stock a little bit. Boost that confidence level. Give him some easy ones.
Okay, so how do you do that? You can't just tell the defense to lie down so Will can score. So do you put him with the ones? Do you put him with the 3? There's a lot of questions within that, right? If you're not going to play anybody of any significance, then that's going to make it hard for Will Levis to look good, right? Especially if the other team is playing some of their good players. So there's a lot of variables.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put him out with, say, the 2s and maybe some of the 1s, and you start him, that's a different. So there's a lot of levels to where you would put this on the priority list. It's not as high for me as it is to get Cam Ward and those guys ready. But that's what we have to learn about Saleh's philosophy on how you use the preseason game.
I don't think you use the preseason game is to get Cam ready. You use the practices and the scrimmages versus other teams to get Cam ready. The preseason is just, let's don't get him hurt. Let's give him a few things, but let's get out of this 3 games with no major injuries, especially not to our quarterback. So he's going to be the starter. Both of his reps comes when the cameras aren't watching. Trubisky is the tricky one, because if you want him to get reps with the one, because he may have to go with the ones a play or 2. You never know. So he's going to get some reps with Carnell Tate, because you want to see how Carnell Tate does too, still having a guy who you think is capable of getting them the ball. So you have Carnell Tate out there, and you may have those younger guys. Good thing about the Titans is that their receiving core room has been elevated. It has from top to bottom. It's a much better group than it was last year, due in part to obviously Tate, but then those younger receivers developing even more. So what works in Trubisky's and Levis's favor is that this receiving core is better. So when Will Levis goes out there, he's not throwing to guys that don't have a chance at making nobody's team.
the other thing too, speaking on Anthony Richardson in particular, because we've known for some time that he's not going to stay in Indianapolis. The first opportunity the Colts can get rid of him, they're going to do it. But juxtapose, I don't know if that's worthy of a bell.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Juxtapose Anthony Richardson with the preseason star of the week last week, Carson Beck, in the Hall of Fame game in Arizona, or for Arizona in Canton, Ohio. Carson Beck was basically Van Wilder. The guy did not leave college. He ended up playing 5 years in college. Anthony Richardson started a grand total of 13 college games before being drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. And for those of you out there who believe the more starts a college quarterback gets, the better he'll be in the NFL, or the more prepared he'll be in the NFL, this helps your argument. I mean, I pulled this up earlier for Willy. Here are the 9 quarterbacks drafted in the first round of the NFL draft since 2006 with fewer than 20 college starts. This does not include Ty Simpson. This was written before Ty Simpson was drafted this past spring. Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance, Mark Sanchez, Dwayne Haskins, Cam Newton, Mitch Trubisky, and Anthony Richardson. 3 of those quarterbacks received a second contract.
It's a trend right now, regardless of how each of those quarterbacks you noted, Adam, are doing now. It just seems to be what teams prefer. And it's what I think Ty Simpson is the exception to the rule. What most up-and-coming quarterbacks are being taught to do. They're being taught, hey, collect a nice paycheck for a good college team, play that extra year, get the experience, and then go into the draft. And that's definitely what Beck has done. Beck is interesting to me because he played in a lot of high-profile games, right? He had an injury issue. He had a turnover issue for a while, but he won a lot of big games. But he's a little bit older coming in. He's off to a good start here. He's got a job that is winnable. But I think you have to make a quick impression when you get into the league at that age, right? You should be expected to be starting off further along than an Anthony Richardson or a Mitch Trubisky who played less college football and coming in at a younger age.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be used as it's sort of like a double-edged sword, because you want the quarterback to have the reps. You want the quarterbacks to have snaps under center. You want him to sort of be seasoned in a sense. But if he's too, seasoned in college, then you almost look at that as a negative, as, oh, he's a little bit older than what the other. Well, he stayed in college longer. Shouldn't that be a benefit to him? Obviously, when you look at certain guys going across the board, you see they've been in the league, I say the league, but college for 4 or 5 years, maybe 6. It's being counted against them. Because now you enter the draft, it's like, oh, we only got so many years. You better hit.
I'm worried. I'm not worried. I'm curious how it evolves. Carson Beck is 24.
Yes.
Right? Carnell Tate is 21. Is three years younger than Carson Beck, yet they're both rookies in the league. So that there are different points of development that way. You would have to hope that Carnell Tate has a bigger ceiling to grow. It's different positions, I get it, but that's what the quarterbacks seem to be doing now. He's coming in as a 24-year-old rookie, but he should be further along there because of that.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, Mike Herndon of paulkaharski.com will join the program. We'll get his thoughts on all things Titans coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingadendonic 1025, the game, and he. Hold on. I know this one. X-Men.
It is X-Men.
Yeah. All right. I'm doing pretty well.
Okay.
I'm like 2 for 3.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Well, good for me. Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Mike Herndon of PaulKaharski.com. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Thank you for joining us as always. So, Mike, let's pick up where we were what we were talking about before you came on. I noticed something that Albert Breer wrote on Sports Illustrated about Anthony Richardson, and the deployment of Richardson in the preseason will determine whether or not he's on the team in a month in Indianapolis. And you could copy and paste Will Levis's name in that paragraph from Albert Breer when it would make total sense. So if you were Robert Saleh and Mike Borgonzi, how would you utilize Will Levis in the preseason? Would you perhaps play him more than you normally would in an attempt to boost his trade value? How would you approach it?
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of game of push and pull here, because I think the biggest thing you need to do out of preseason is get guys ready and be able to evaluate your own roster first and foremost, as opposed to showcasing one player trying to up his trade value. So I think, yes, I think the first thing you've got to do is that, but then I would play Levis a lot. I mean, Trubisky is a backup quarterback. Cam Ward is a young quarterback. I think Cam, you probably give him the token series or two to let him get a few reps in, a few live reps in, but then you want to get him out of there. Trubisky probably doesn't need to play a ton in preseason. I mean, he's played in this system before with Dayball. He's a vet. He's been around for a while. He does not need the reps as much as even a guy like Levis or Hendon Hooker certainly would. So to me, I think you play Levis a lot. I think maybe you give Ward a series or two. You give Trubisky maybe to the halfway through the second quarter, and then it's Levis from there until you want to hand over maybe the last few drives to Hooker. But I think you give them probably half the game or close to it. Would be my approach anyway.
Last week, Mike, the Tennessee Titans signed Peter Skoronski to a mega deal, joining Jeffrey Simmons from a couple of months ago. When you're looking at who could be next, who could be that next young pillar for the Tennessee Titans, I think a lot of people are hoping and wishing and praying that it's J.C. Latham. So let me ask you this question, Mike. What must Latham do this season for you to feel comfortable paying him the way the Titans have paid Simmons and Skoronski?
So one thing, I think Cedric Gray, to me, may be actually the next one as things currently sit on the pecking order there for a big payday. And it'll be interesting to see how he plays in this solid defense, but I'd put him actually slightly ahead of Latham at the moment, despite the draft pedigree. But Latham is an interesting one because it would be real hard for me to see him being an early extension candidate because, yes, they can extend him after this season. And if it was more of a Skoronski kind of situation where, Skoronski really started to come on at the back half of year 2, and then year 3 was just lights out. So Latham maybe a little bit showed the light flickering on, but I don't think he was as good in the back half of year 2 as Skoronski was, certainly. So I think he's got a little bit more to prove. And then there's also the health aspect. Like Skoronski had the appendectomy, I think, his rookie year, but since then has been, an Iron Man for the team, solid, reliable, in there every snap kind of guy. So, to me, Latham needs a healthy season, and he needs to be probably a top 10 right tackle in the league this year, performance-wise, to even consider doing the early extension. Because the other side with Latham is you've got the real threat of the franchise tag with him. You can't really franchise tag a guard because of the way the rules work, with it being considered an offensive line, kind of all being lumped together. So basically all the franchise tag values go to the top tackle contracts. So it's hard to franchise tag a guard. But you really could, with Latham, use that as leverage if you want to let him get that 4th year. You've got the 5th-year option in there. So you really have a lot of tools at your disposal to maintain leverage over Latham for contract discussions, extension discussions, even if you don't do it immediately as soon as you can next offseason.
We'll talk with Mike Herndon from PaulKarski.com. Now, Mike, looking at this offense, and we've talked a lot about, what they can do or what they can't do. And then, we saw that the depth chart came out, the past couple of days. When you looked at it, is there anything that surprised you? I can tell you what surprised me somewhat, but was there anything in there that surprised you as far as the unofficial depth chart?
There wasn't a ton that surprised me. I guess maybe, and this may be reading too far into it, but Jackson Slater being listed at left guard and Fernando Carmona being listed as the backup at right guard was a little bit interesting because I kind of viewed them as both competing for that right guard spot. And to me, that almost says that Carmona may be viewed as slightly ahead of Jackson Slater. But, I mean, if you get down to brass tacks, they're kind of on the same line there. So maybe I'm splitting hairs. But aside from that, I didn't think there was a ton of real surprises. I mean, I think there was some intrigue as to whether Gunnar Helm or Daniel Bellinger would be listed as a starter at tight end. Helm got the nod there. That's kind of what I would have expected. But I think there was some question just because of the contract that Bellinger got and Helm being year 2 and the Bellinger familiarity with Dayball and whatnot. But offensively, I didn't think there was a ton of big surprises, at least not for me. But I'd be interested to hear what your surprises were.
My slight surprise, because I thought eventually it was going to happen, but that they've moved Ellick from the X to the Z, and they put him behind Calvin Ridley. I think his emergence in camp has made that an option for them because ultimately you want to get your best 53 on the field. And I think what he's shown thus far, he would be considered, a top 3 wide receiver in his offense based upon what he's done throughout camp. And now that's not saying that Calvin hasn't been, out there and doing the things that he needs to do, but I think Ellick has been doing more. And plus he's a younger option. And he gives them something that I think neither one of the receivers, Tate included, he gives them the option or the threat of a big, physical, and fast receiver. Tate is a big guy, but he hasn't developed that muscle yet, that NFL muscle yet. I think Ellick has that.
Absolutely. And I think he's extremely intrigued in that the pecking order of and how they use those wide receivers. Because I think there's no doubt Ellick's going to play. I think DK will probably have a package on offense. It may not be real big. It could be like 10 to 15 plays a game. But I think all 5 of those guys are going to play to some degree. And it'll be real interesting to see how they get deployed and kind of who, rotates where. Because I think Ellick could play X, he could play Z, certainly. I think Tate's kind of the same way. You could play him at either spot. You could play Ridley really at either spot. So those 3 guys really, because I think Wandale's kind of got his role locked down, right? Like we know where he's going to be. We know how they're going to use him. But those other 3, I think it'll be real interesting to see the pecking order, how they're used and how they're rotated as we get into regular season action. Because, I think they'll all have a role, and it'll be really interesting to kind of track that as the season goes on.
Now, Mike, should we think of, because the receivers have, especially Tate, they've been doing really well. We talked about what Ellick has been able to do. So we're praising the receivers. And I don't want that to stop because I think we do have some young, good receivers that can turn into top flight guys. But should we be concerned about the secondary that we're not seeing, especially, going to get some younger guys, we're not seeing this secondary sort of step up consistently. And I say that because I don't want to take any shine off of the receivers because they've been doing well. And maybe it's just, hey, they're good, but hey, our receivers are showing up each and every practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fair to wonder because it's obviously a brand new group, basically with Alontae Taylor and Cordell Flott on the outside, and then Marcus Harris really kind of stepping up into a much bigger role this year in the nickel. And yeah, the wide receivers playing well in camp. There is obviously, with every camp, there's always the flip side of that. And so some of it you look at and you say, okay, maybe that's good on good reps for both guys. And the receiver just made a spectacular play to win the ball. That happens at times. But, I guess a lot of what we've seen and you see some clips where I think there was one that I saw where Carnell Tate, I didn't see a DB in the frame when he caught the pass. That was circulating out there, but most of them I think have been relatively well contested. So I think it'll be super interesting to see this week against San Francisco, seeing them line up from guys that are different and also getting a different measuring stick. Are the receivers still dominating against the Niners defensive backs, which I don't think are world beaters, but it is a different group. And then are the Titans corners able to shut down, the 49ers receivers and kind of try to get, a little bit of a push and pull against somebody else and see where that kind of shakes out.
Mike, I got a couple of young guys I want to ask you about who I think are important players, but they're not getting headlines right now. Tell me what you're seeing so far from Oladejo. Let's start with the second-year player. We know that last year it was kind of short-circuited with the injury. It's a new system now. How do you think he's adapting?
It's kind of hard to tell too much because, they've only had the pads on a few days and everything. And I think he physically looks the part. I think it's exciting kind of what they've said about him and being able to kind of unleash him getting upfield and taking advantage of some of his physical tools. But it'll be really interesting to see kind of what that looks like in game action and see. 'Cause I think he's still going to be a bit of a work in progress from a pass rush standpoint. But if he's able to kind of use his physical gifts and the get off and use that to his advantage, where he doesn't have to have the most technical, skill set developed at this point to be able to win, if he's able to get off the ball and win with his physicality and his explosiveness, then I think that's a good situation for him. So I think this is going to be a better fit for him defensively. And the upside is clearly there. And I think he seems like a great guy as far as like being able to take coaching, having the right attitude, the right mindset, all that. It's just he's got a longer way to go as a pass rusher than most guys coming out, just because he didn't really do it until his very last few games at UCLA. So I think he's a guy that's still going to be a bit of a slow burn. I don't think we're going to see him take off and be a 10-sack guy or anything crazy like that this year. But if he can take meaningful steps forward and be a positive contributor as a part of this defensive line rotation, I think that's a big thing for him in year two.
How similar do you think the trajectory is for Keldrick Falk? It's sort of the same position.
I think it will be quicker for Falk as far as his ability to kind of take off, because and to me, Falk's situation was very much, this is a guy that does know how to pass rush, and he has been playing defensive line for basically his entire football career. So he's I think technically probably ahead of Oladejo and a lot of those kind of hand fighting and trench combat kind of skills that need to be developed, especially at the NFL level, where you just can't out-athlete, out-muscle guys anymore. But Falk has been doing that longer, and I think Falk's production, while it wasn't great from a pass rushing standpoint, the block deconstruction that you showed, that Falk showed on film, was really good. And ultimately, I think what he was asked to do at Auburn a lot of times was read and react, the two-gap kind of four-eye defensive technique that he was asked to do. And now he's going to be asked to do something completely different, and that's going to be attack and get upfield and really rush. Such a great fit. And these guys know how to use that big guy, 270 pounds with length, with Eric Armstead and guys like that in Salah's background. I think they know how to use a guy like this. I think he'll be effective right away. And I could see him really being one of the better pass rushers on this defense by the end of the season.
All right, my last guy is Anthony Hill. I had a chance to listen to him after a practice at the podium. Just a lot of bright-eyed enthusiasm, but still very young, right? And that was one of the things they noted. And Falk would be in the same boat. Latham, when he was a rookie, was in the same boat. A young rookie at 21, turning 22. So what's the track, I think, for what's the track, knowing that Anthony Hill was drafted because he supposedly is going to fit what Robert Saleh's defense likes to do?
Yeah, it's and, you know, Tate kind of falls in that boat as well, as far as the young guys coming in,
yes,
3 years, 3 and done, coming out of college kind of guys. So, yeah, Hill, to me, I mean, it's all gonna. He's got every tool you could possibly want in an inside backer. I mean, he's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the speed, everything. So I think his instincts are good. I think the question is going to be how quickly can he get mental mastery of the defense? How quickly can he get used to kind of sorting through traffic with this defense? Because it does look different in front of an inside linebacker, playing behind this kind of attacking front that Saleh is going to run versus playing against a front that is going to be more of the two-gapping kind of read and react defense that has been kind of a lot of the narrative coming out of camp. It's different because there's a lot more variation that those inside backers have to sort through because guys are just attacking. They're getting upfield, they're shooting gaps. So it may be messy, more messy up front than what you would typically see from another defense. So how quickly he's able to get there mentally, I think, is going to be the biggest thing. And that's not anything against him. I mean, this guy started as a true freshman at Texas for a really good defense. So I think he's proven to be able to take on these kind of challenges and get his way to the top pretty quickly already. And so I think it's just a matter of time. But you look at what he's got in front of him. I mean, Cedric Gray obviously is going to be a part in the spot you're looking to replace is really Cody Barton, but he is a veteran. He does know what he's doing. And you also have James Williams, who has been flashing and has some of that skill set that Anthony Hill has too. So I think you'll see him, get there towards the end of the season, but I don't know if it's going to be a day one kind of situation for Anthony Hill taking that starting job from Barton. I think Barton probably holds those guys off early, and then maybe Hill emerges late. It would be my guess is how that goes.
And I should note, Mike Herndon, big Texas fan. So he knows a thing or two about Anthony Hill. Mike Herndon of PaulKaharski.com has been our guest on DMase, Vingan, and Donnick. Mike, as always, a pleasure. We'll do this again soon.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys.
615-737-1025. Let's react to what Mike had to say, especially about the second-year players and the young players that Willie asked Mike about. 615-737-1025. Willie Donnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025, The Game. DMase, Vingan and Donick 1025, the game. Connor's in charge of music, the musical quiz, superhero theme songs. I'm 2 for 3 so far, despite the fact that I'm not into superheroes at all. So I'm going to take a stab at this one. Shot in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
The Incredible Hulk.
Incredible
Oh.
Hulk. It's a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Marvel one.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Is it Doctor Strange?
No.
It's not Doctor Strange.
This is my favorite superhero.
Ooh, not bad.
Captain America.
No. He's close.
Thor.
No.
It's no.
You just saw his movie.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
What was the first one we played today?
Spider-Man.
That was all of them.
That was
it was the Marvel Overture.
Oh, okay. I thought you played 2 Spider-Mans.
No, that was just a Spider-Man. That was like the Spider-Man.
Oh.
This is the new Spider-Man.
Yeah, the new one, which you haven't seen yet.
No.
So we can't talk about it.
You can talk about it. I probably won't.
You want to go see it? Oh, we can talk about it, fellas.
Very good.
It's good. Yeah, it's really good.
I probably
So what
won't.
is it? No, I can't say that because then there's people that's listening. Y'all got about another month to watch this movie now.
I was going to say, what's the statute of limitations on spoiling a movie? That's fresh in theaters.
Well, we could talk about it without spoiling it.
Yeah, I was
think
gonna
it's good.
spoil it because I was gonna say something about the end.
At the end.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got so I can't do it.
You got theories?
Yeah, well, yes, but it's no, I can't because then I'm gonna mess it all up. I tell y'all off air
Okay.
because I don't want to mess it up.
DMase has his comic book theories.
I
I'm excited.
thought it was well done.
Yes,
based on it wasn't too crazy complex. It was a good story when you knew the characters, and I didn't think they tried to do too much. And so that's what the 4th one of this crew
of the rebrand. Yeah. It was good. I
it's
love
tough.
it.
Every time you make a new one, it's hard to keep the standard, but I thought they did a very good job with that.
It'll always be
I'm
Tobey
thumbs
Maguire.
up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Well, yeah, that's a separate discussion for sure.
a couple of Titans adjacent NFL moves and news in recent days. Poor Dylan Radins out for the season for the Saints with a torn ACL. So Dylan Radins out for the year. That's sad. Here's something that's also sad for completely different reasons. Adam Schefter posted on Saturday morning, Commanders roster moves, signed veteran center Daniel Brunskill, offensive tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere. He's back, baby.
PT.
No, we don't do that on this show.
And
we do not do that on this program.
Okay, but let's add.
Oh my goodness.
Let's add Brewer to the mix as well. The ex-Titans lineman that got barbecued. It just shows you how hard it is to find linemen because all of those guys are still in the league.
They're still getting paid.
They still get paid. It's hard to find them. So we have to keep that perspective. I know sometimes, Derek, you get into this tunnel vision of, hey, I don't care what's happening outside of Nashville. I want to know what's happening on the Titans.
Yes.
And that has merit. But I think it's important sometimes when you're like, this guy's terrible, man. He shouldn't be in the league. Well, as soon as the Titans cut these guys, even though you thought they were terrible, he's still playing. They still have a job. Like, it's hard to find these guys.
May I list for you the former Titans players on the Commanders?
Yes.
Daniel Brunskill, Nicholas Petit-Frere, Traylon Burks, Van Jefferson, Chikakonkwo, Jeremy McNichols, and Marcus Mariota.
Jeremy McNichols played like 10 years ago on the Titans. He's still in the league.
Titans NFC what? NFC, what is that?
Yeah,
the NFC?
that's the NFC East.
Yeah, Titans NFC East.
Yeah. But Nicholas Petit-Frere still getting work out there. Good for you, buddy.
You think they got some stories,
Daniel
all six of those guys?
Daniel Brunskill.
They got some stories, man. I'm sure they do. They probably get huddled up in the Commander's locker room. Like, remember what happened in Nashville?
Yeah, Dylan Radins. I mean, he got absolutely barbecued in this town.
They did
He's
not.
still in the league. And now I guess he's going to get paid. He's injured. He said he'll have some kind of income at least.
Settlement.
Try it again next year.
One texter says Aaron Brewer is not only still playing, but he's a Pro Bowl level player for this offense.
Absolutely.
Maybe their best lineman.
Right.
Yes.
But people, when he was in Nashville, oh, he's too small. He can't play. He's terrible. it's not always that. It's the fit. It's the chemistry between the five guys. It's the offensive system. That's the art form to find the right five guys. That's why it's interesting, I think, of how they're going to try to piece together this line. It's like, is Latham going to blossom like we were talking about in the last segment with Mike Herndon? He's still only – J.C. Latham is younger than Carson Beck. Carson Beck is a rookie in the league. This is J.C. Latham's third year in the league. He is a, quote, veteran.
Yeah.
He's younger than still a lot of rookies that are coming in. So can he still have the light go on and be really good? I still think it's very possible. And then, of course, there's the question marks at center and guard, which they're working on. But it's not always the individual talent. It's also developing and then piecing it together. Right guy, right system.
It has been brought to my attention by our friend Dylan in Antioch that PT was invented by Chris Sanders.
Yes, that's why I said PT.
And I know how much we all love Chris Sanders. I love Chris Sanders. But you know what?
It's funny because where do you get PT
I
from?
never liked it then. I'm not going to repurpose it. And that's no disrespect to anyone involved in PT, but that's not this show. We use full names, real names.
That was an alias.
It is kind of funny, though, like an offensive lineman who in his name is Petite.
Yeah.
Like that. There's certain names like that. Like I was watching a pitcher the other day where there's one that pitches for the Sounds and he also pitches for the Brewers. His last name is Gasser. So it's like, dude, the guy's got to have heat, right? If he's
Yeah.
Gasser, he's got to be good. There's also like a guy that was pitching in middle relief for the Cleveland Guardians the other day. His name is Holderman. He's the holder man. He's trying to hold the lead. Yeah. Of course he's a relief pitcher. Like there's certain guys that have those.
Well, why
names.
wouldn't he be the
Yeah.
relief pitcher?
Joey from Bellevue says, poor Jaden Daniels. PT is going to get him killed. I'm not sure PT is going to start. Also,
Well, Laramie Tunsil's done.
Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
That's a huge loss for the
PT may
Commanders.
be their left tackle.
Can you imagine?
Man.
Just
When do the Titans play Commanders if they play them at all?
they play them this season.
Yeah, I know.
December 6th.
Which week of that? Which week is that?
That's like,
13.
All right.
ooh, PT may be playing by then.
It's possible.
NPF.
But just think about the drop off and talent and skill from Laramie Tunsil to Nicholas Petit-Frere.
Ooh, man.
That should be illegal. Like that
That's like falling from the Empire State Building.
it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. But you know what? I was happy to see our old friend MPF, not PT, NPF get back into the NFL. Hopefully he won't be suspended again for betting on team grounds.
If you get hit with that,
Man.
then you really are not paying attention, or you
Yeah.
have a serious gambling problem if you can't take yourself out of the building to place your bets.
He probably had a couple of seconds to do it.
Yeah.
He couldn't run out the building fast enough.
But like now that people have already fallen for that, like do not be that guy that gets hit on that again.
It is really interesting. Admittedly, I haven't been following Nicholas Petit-Frere's career since the Titans got rid of him, but it wasn't good. And I it's interesting to me how certain personnel people, the people making the decisions in Washington, it's like, you know who we really need on our team? Nicholas Petit-Frere. Yeah, he's probably a backup, a third stringer, but that tape, we can massage it. We can work with it. Like who would watch tape of Nicholas Petit-Frere and think, you know what? I want him on my team.
But would it be any different than the guys that the Titans have brought in with their track? Nicholas Petit-Frere has started 28 games. He's only 26 years old, or 20. No, he's 20. Yeah, still 26, about to turn 27. Like he begins to look better in the pile of people on the street. You know what I'm saying? It's when he's drafted in the third round, you're like, ooh, this guy, and he starts as a rookie. You're like, ooh, he started as a rookie. He's got some talent. He played for Ohio State. He's already in there. He could get better. And then the flaws come out. He gets suspended. He gets injured. He struggles. And you're like, get him out of here. We got somebody better. But then he goes into that pile of people like, well, you think you can do better? Who are you going to get? Austin Schlottman, all these guys of Cordell Volson, those guys, they haven't started as many games as Nicholas Petit-Frere, right?
Oh, well,
It's fit. it's system, it's chemistry, it's development. People develop at different rates. But I think the offensive linemen, quality offensive linemen, are like left-handed relief pitchers. Just stay out there. Just stay in the league as long as you can. If you're any good at all, somebody's going to bring you in, no matter how bad you might look in a given situation on a given team.
There's not too many 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" people that can move around like y'all. So try to stay in there as long as you can.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, we are going to do one of our periodic Cam Ward vibe checks. We are a couple of weeks into camp, a big practice for Cam Ward tomorrow, a joint practice with the 49ers. A lot of people will be determining their vibes based on what we hear and see tomorrow. But before that practice, let's do a Cam Ward early vibe check. So if you have a thought on Cam Ward, remember how he felt after OTAs? He couldn't hit the ocean from a boat, right? That was the talk. But now that you're about 2 weeks into training camp, how are you feeling about Cam Ward based on all of the reports coming out of camp? 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. The Tennessee Titans, they've journeyed out west. They will hold a joint practice with the San Francisco 49ers tomorrow. We had to reschedule. Unfortunately, we had to reschedule our friend Turron Davneport, ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter. So we will catch up with TD later this week. He is out there for joint practice. So we'll definitely get a report from TD later this week. Derek Mason, I want to start this hour by asking you a question.
Yes.
As I mentioned at the top of the show, the Carnell Tate hype train has left the station and it ain't coming back. You have watched a lot of football practice. You have participated in a lot of football practice. So you know when something is real and when something is deceiving for a wide receiver. You've been out to many practices. So as you watch Tate, two questions. What gives you the most confidence that what you are seeing in camp will translate to meaningful games? And two, generally, what are the early signs that a receiver has, quote unquote, it?
I think one of the early signs is him picking up on offense, him, recognizing, being able to take it from the classroom to the practice field, because it's hard sometimes, and when you're being taught something in a classroom, you listen, the live things is not going. So it's sort of easier. But once you get out there on the field, it's like, how can I take what I've learned, all while the scenery is moving? I saw it when it was just, X's and O's, and you were telling me what to do. And I saw some film of it from other guys, but me actually having to go out and do it when the defense is moving. If a guy can show that ability to learn that very quickly and get comfortable in that, because in talking with Carnell Tate, he talked about, being comfortable, with the offense. And when you're comfortable, your ability tends to come out. The true you as a player tends to come out. So the quicker you can get comfortable in offense, the quicker I can learn what type of player you are. And it just didn't start for Carnell Tate, at least in my opinion. It just didn't start when he got here in Nashville. I watched this kid for the last 2 years at Ohio State, like intently watched him, because while watching Jeremiah Smith, I'm like, this dude's good. And he reminded me so much of Hill. Is it
Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, no, not Tyreek. I don't know. Every time I forget his name. With Cincinnati Bengals.
Jamar Chase.
No, not Chase. The other.
Higgins.
I always say Hill, but Higgins.
Yes.
He reminds me so much of Higgins. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, man, this dude can flat out play. And then the next year he doubled down and he was even better at Ohio State. So judging by their pedigree, I'm not going to bet against a Ohio State wide receiver, for one, because each one of them over the last decade, they've come out and they've been instrumental in their teams winning. They've been some of the best young wide receivers in the National Football League. So that alone. And then once you watch them out there in practice, it's not like I'm not going to say it's effortlessly, because there's nothing effortlessly about guys out there playing. It's nothing. It's hard work. But he goes about his business like a veteran guy. He knows body position. Watch the catch in the end zone, a combative catch. This is what he was doing in college, and he did the same thing in practice the other day. Those things that keep showing up, these are not like blips on the screen. These are consistent things that is showing up with him. He's done some wild things, but he hasn't done anything that I believe sets him back. Some rookies come in and you sort of have this up and down, up and down, and up and down. He hasn't been up and down. He's been consistently rising. That shows me, one, he knows what he's doing out there and he's comfortable at that. So now he just gets his natural ability to play the position. It shines, and it has shined. Now listen, it's going to get harder for him. I understand that. But at the beginning, he showed what I think the Titans saw, before they drafted him and why they drafted him 4th overall.
The Carnell Tate Cam Ward connection seems to be growing stronger by the day, Willie. And that's why I think it would be a good time right before this first joint practice. The Titans will have 3 joint practices this summer, the first of which happens tomorrow in California with the San Francisco 49ers. And Willie, I think you mentioned this earlier in our conversation about Will Levis. The joint practices now mean more than the preseason games because a lot of the starters don't get action in the preseason games. They use the joint practices to get their work. So tomorrow's joint practice will be really interesting to see if the connection between Ward and Tate can travel against another team. But periodically we do these Cam Ward vibe checks. We're about 2 weeks into camp. We left OTAs with a sour taste in our mouth, or at least some of us did, because the biggest storyline coming out of OTAs was Cam Ward's inaccuracy. But now that we're roughly 2 weeks into camp, 615-737-1025, let's take a quick Cam Ward vibe check. How are you feeling about Cam Ward through the first couple of weeks of camp? How optimistic are you about his connection with Carnell Tate? Willie, you've been out to many practices. Have you noticed anything different about Cam Ward and the way he's attacking the position to start out year 2?
Nothing big. I had no taste one way or the other about the OTAs. I as I told you guys at the time, it means nothing to me that he was inaccurate or anything. You're working on things. It's the off season. This is where now we're starting to hone in a little bit more. And still, you have to remember it's August the 10th. These next couple of days will give us a nice indication, but it's about what happens in September, October, beyond. So here's what I have noticed the most. Tate and Robinson have definitely changed what it looks like day in and day out at practice. I think those guys are legitimate targets. I think the talent that he's going to be throwing to is going to be better. And I also think so far from what I've seen about Daboll's offense, that it is matching the theory that it's easier to learn. You're not hearing a whole lot about this or that of so-and-so is not picking it up. I can't play him here yet, especially with Tate as a young wide receiver. As you mentioned, Derek, his comfort level for his age and the fact that it's not a thing that he is not understanding what they're doing, I think that's a credit to him and to Daboll. So I'm hoping that will take Ward to another step to start out of the starter's gate than before. That A, he's got more experience, but B, the adjustment to a new system is an easier one and not a tougher one. That's my theory.
I think like Carnell Tate, he's shown, progressive development. I think it was Salah that said, listen, it's not about the end product, meaning necessarily the completion of the play or the success of the play. Right now, it's about, are you reading things the way they need to be read? Are you seeing the defense the way it needs to be seen? And right now, I think that's what he's doing. Is everything perfect at every time? No. Is there, miscues or drop balls or over? Yes. But if you are throwing it like to the right guy, if you're processing it the right way, that's the first step. That's what we got to get you to do. We got to get you to process it properly, see the field as it's moving, and hit the right targets in a manner that, we deem successful as far as who's your first read, who's your second read, who's your third read, who's your outlet. I think from that standpoint, what I've been hearing and what I've seen for the most part, he's been doing that. It hasn't always equated to a completion or a touchdown, but he's reading it the right way based on what the defense is giving him. That's what you want to see in a quarterback. Yes, the closer you get to the season, you want those, okay, I'm reading it right. You want the back end to be a reception or a touchdown. Yes, you want, or a positive play. You want that to happen. But right now, they're in a situation where, are you reading it correctly? We are worried about the actual completion of the play or the success of the play as we move. But if you can't even read it correctly, we can't even get to the part of you completing the actual pass or the pass or the play working.
Our friend Easton Freeze had a really funny line in a write-up he did on A to Z Sports over the weekend about Cam Ward's development so far through training camp. He said, quote, "If I brought my grandma to practice today, someone with zero institutional football knowledge who has no idea who any of these players are, could she watch one session and figure out who the starter is? If I tell her the guys in the red jerseys are the quarterbacks, by the end of practice, can she point to the right one? That's the test. Ward is the first Titans quarterback in a couple of years who would pass that test over a sample size of more than a day or two at a time." I think that's really interesting. I do also wonder, look at who we're comparing him with, right? Like, are Trubisky and Levis that far back of Ward because Ward has been so good, or because the two of them are...
Is he saying that you would have had that observation of Ward last year?
You would not have had that observation of Ward last year.
Which I
to
think
Easton.
would have been true. Because I think even before the Will Levis injury, there wasn't. Now the talent is different now. If you're just looking at both of them, there was no like, oh, he's definitely the starter and he's not. I think it was a little bit closer last year than what it is this year. And he's right. I don't think it's, when you watch all four quarterbacks. I don't want to leave out Hendon Hooker. And when you watch all four quarterbacks, there's a clear distinction between who is the number one and who isn't.
That's what I was going to say. The two practices I went to last week, it was clear, even for someone who is not a quarterback expert by any stretch of the imagination, I could watch Cam Ward and be like, yeah, that guy clearly knows what he's doing more than these three other guys. Like, not to take away from Trubisky and Levis and Hooker, but they are in a different tier than Cam Ward. Although you could certainly argue when you look at Cam's statistics, maybe he shouldn't be. But just his presence, how he commands the first team offense. It's clear to me. It was clear to me watching. It's like, yeah, this guy, he looks like he's built to command a huddle. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to end up doing it successfully at the NFL, but there is a clear delineation to piggyback off of what Easton Freeze wrote between Ward and the rest.
I don't know. I would differ. I think Will Levis can flash a lot of talent, like on a given play. Depends on what plays you're watching. And Ward has made big mistakes. He had the practice where he threw the late throw the ball against your.
Well, he had two interceptions.
Throw sidearm. Right.
Yes.
So it's not like he's lighting it up. I don't think. Now, I don't think that's what it's about. Ultimately, I want to see when it's time to play the gains of what Ward has been doing behind the scenes, because I'm banking on him putting the work. When I watch him after practice, he almost always is working with somebody on something after the practice is over. I like that. I know that he puts in the time to try to work on the craft. And I think I'm seeing progress, but remember, he was one of the worst statistical quarterbacks in the league last year. No matter what set of numbers you're looking at, he's got a long way to go just to get to the middle tier of NFL play. So I'm optimistic, but there's only so much you can know on August the 10th.
Well, I'm not trying to compare him to the rest of the league. I think he does have a good ways to go before you start mentioning him with the upper echelon. Even, when you're talking about quarterbacks that are sort of that middle tier quarterbacks, that 15, between 12 and 15. So yes, he has a ways to go. But when you're talking about this team and what they've seen and what they've had at this position, it's not perfect, but I think his consistency outplays or outshines the lack of consistency from the other quarterbacks. Because ultimately that's what you want to see. Are you consistently doing the things that are going to make the offense, sort of move on a positive note? Or are you doing things consistently that is going to set us back? And obviously Will has done things consistently that are not in his favor. And Cam has done more things consistently that are in his favor. So if I'm looking at it based upon that, even Trubisky, it does make me look at this quarterback position as this guy, when you talk about confidence, talent, arm talent, you know, knowing the game. No, he doesn't know it as well as Trubisky, but he does have the physical attributes that Trubisky doesn't, and he shows it every practice as far as his arm talent. I'm not even talking about him moving around in the pocket. I just think his arm talent is much better, and that's clear than both of those guys, because even Will Levis, with the talent that he has, he's not consistent with it. That's why I sort of look at Cam and say, yes, there's a distinct difference between he and the other two guys that are vying for that second quarterback position.
I would hope so.
Yes.
But let's not forget, Levis, I think after his first year, which was not a full year starting, but he had played enough games and had enough success where you thought this guy's got a chance to make a jump here and be a good starter in the league. And he went backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young, first pick in the draft, like Cam Ward, did not do well his rookie year, but you could probably say the same thing that you said about Cam Ward. Just a terrible support system, nothing to build on, nobody to throw to. Who's the weapon? Bad team, you know? And he went backwards. He lost the job his second year and rebounded some last year. So I don't know that I'm ready to just say, well, Cam Ward is going to make this big leap. When he's starting from a low point, I see some things that are encouraging for sure, but I can't go on a limb just yet. I still think there's a lot of question marks, and I'm hopeful, but I'm not ready to jump out and say, this is the guy. He's going to make a big jump.
615-737-1025 will take your first Cam Ward vibe check of the season. A couple of weeks into training camp. How are you feeling based on what you have read and or seen or heard from Titans training camp? 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's talk twice daily. Remember the rewards program that we have been hitting you up with. Hey, it's time. You're getting into that fall season. School's starting back for a lot of you. Pretty soon you're going to have your weekend routine where the fall sports are starting. You're going to be out and about, driving the family around. Keep in mind the twice daily rewards program is going to save you money, because when you're a rewards member, you'll earn points every time you visit twice daily. So if you're looking for convenience, Twice Daily has you covered. They've got all of the great things. I had a friend of mine telling me how great their hot dogs are the other day. So I'm going to go with that. But join that Twice Daily rewards program, unlock the special discounts, enter into sweepstakes, and so much more. It's Twice Daily, sponsor here on 1025 The Game, fresh all day.
DMase, Vingadendonic 1025, the game. Either of you nerds want to try to take a guess? I have no idea.
This is obviously, but is this the Spider-Man still, right?
Is this the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man? No.
This is your time. This is before I was born.
Ooh, what was before?
Oh, this is the early Batman. This is the
yeah. Okay.
There you go.
the Jack Nicholson, Michael
Yep.
Keaton Batman.
Oh,
There you
okay. All right. Well, Batman was still when you were born. You said
This
way
Batman
Oh,
song was
that
before me.
Batman, particular one.
I like the Batman where Jim Carrey played the Riddler and Tommy Lee Jones
Yeah.
played Two-Face.
That was mid-90s.
I'm sitting here.
Chris
what-
O'Donnell played Robin.
Yeah, that was like 95.
Yeah, that was the.
Was that Val Kilmer?
That's when they put the
Val
pow,
Kilmer was that Batman.
right after
yeah.
when they put the pow.
Yeah.
First one I
Remember they used to
remember
hit
was
you in the
Christian
head.
Bale.
Pow.
Christian
You
Bale
weren't
was
gonna-
Dark Knight. That
yeah,
was 2000.
that was the best
Yeah.
one.
That's the best
Oh,
one.
Yeah, that was the best one.
You'll
That,
never top
that was
that.
probably the best
Yeah.
superhero trilogy ever.
I'd agree.
If you want to have some fun, Connor, go watch Batman Forever from 1995.
Oh, no.
I've seen it. I've seen all of them.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's interesting.
It's absolutely.
I would not
corny.
recommend the second Batman with the Catwoman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
That was Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah. Watch yourself. now.
Nicole Kidman
I like-
was in
I
Batman
I like
Forever.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
I like Michelle
They
Pfeiffer.
can't say anything
But
wrong
that
about
was-
Michelle
That was
Pfeiffer.
not a good movie.
The worst one was the one with Arnold.
That
as
was-
Mr. Freeze.
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah, that was
that's a
horrible.
bad one. That one.
Why did they even make that one?
That was bad. That was George Clooney as Batman.
It was horrible.
So
That was
Arnold
thumbs
Schwarzenegger could say, "Ice to see you."
Mr. Freeze.
It was horrible.
So for all of the dunking I did on the Hall of Fame game, I just saw this from Front Office Sports.
Mhm.
The NFL Hall of Fame game had 7 million viewers. That's more than the most viewed MLB game this season and any NHL game last season, including the Stanley Cup.
Was that at its peak?
I don't know.
or
On average, I assume.
just on average?
People love preseason football.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
get
it's in the water with everybody, because I thought it was just me. I was even though I didn't watch the whole game, it was on background, but I paid attention to, I think, like the first, second, all the way up until almost halftime, and I was excited because it was football. I was just excited. So there are more people that feel the way I feel, just excited.
I watch baseball.
See, that's Willy. I just had a conversation with Willy that just kind of irked me a little bit.
Oh, it's coming.
It's coming.
it's
We
gonna
gonna
happen.
have it. We gonna have it. But it irked
I
me.
have a new
There's
theory.
just a snobbiness just coming out.
Oh yeah.
Just
SEC.
SEC snob.
It has to
just
do
big
with
time.
the SEC now playing 9 conference games plus a 10th that you have to play a Power 4, and the depth of the league
Oh,
is
my
gonna
goodness.
it's gonna
Here we go
cost
with the
teams
depth
playoff.
again. Oh, my goodness.
It's gonna have a huge effect. They're gonna knock each other out. Nobody's going undefeated.
See,
in the SEC.
that's the excuse they SEC. Well, we knock each other off.
Yeah,
we,
that's true.
No, who cares?
Yeah, well, you have Indiana, and if you don't want to win a championship, you got to go there.
Good idea.
Got a point there.
The Purdue AD actually went on the McAfee show. I think the next day.
Oh my goodness. Backpedaling.
He said, quote, "I'm having," so in case you missed it, the new Purdue athletic director, Tommy McClelland, attempted to take a shot at Indiana and he missed wildly. He said, if you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana. Just sit with that for a moment. He said, if you don't want to win championships, go to Indiana. He said to the McAfee show, quote, "I'm having a great day yesterday, giving our vision and sharing what we're going to do here at Purdue. I made an offhand, unscripted comment about an in-state rival that didn't land well. I knew it the second it left my mouth." He then said, "Every now and then you line it up on the first tee and you're really excited about that round, and I put it right into the water. I got 18 more holes left to play."
I mean, at least he took it to the chin. Took it on the chin. He stood up strong with it. He admitted it. Man, whew. That's powerful. If I'm Indiana, that's all I'm saying to my recruits, especially if you're thinking about going to Iowa or somewhere. It's like, well, Purdue. Like, dude, look, this is what they said. You want to come here because we're winning championships.
That's why it's very dangerous
Oh,
to
my
make
goodness.
both offhand and unscripted remarks if you are not a seasoned public speaker. So last week, I believe it was Friday, right around the time we came on the air, the Tennessee Titans gave Peter Skoronski a big contract. A couple of months ago, the Tennessee Titans gave Jeffrey Simmons a big contract. Let me tell you how bad things have been around here, courtesy of our friend Gentry Estes of the Tennessean. Quote, by agreeing to a blockbuster multi-year extension set to make him the highest paid guard in the NFL, Skoronski became the first Titan selection since their 2019 draft class to sign a second contract with the franchise. Skoronski was a first-round pick in 2023. That means that of the 23 players the Titans drafted from 2020 through 2022, none remain on the team. We know this already.
Have we not been saying this?
We know this
time
already.
And time again.
But every now and then you need to hear it again.
A refresher.
Yes. Just because you know it doesn't mean you can't
Pound
hear
home
it
the reputation.
again. It's bad. So here's the question. Now that Jeffrey Simmons and Peter Skoronski have been paid, well, it's sort of two questions. Well, one question that's more important. How confident are we in the next group that one of them, at least one of them, hopefully more than one of them, will get that second contract? Which ones need to be next? Cedric Gray comes to mind. Of course, we're excluding Cam Ward in this because, obviously Cam Ward is important, but he's in his second year. DK also in his second year. Iamander also in his second year. Gunnar Helm also in his second year. Two stand out to me, Willie. Cedric Gray and J.C. Latham. And I think if you ask Titans fans this question, I think most of them would just say because of the importance of the position, man, oh man, it needs to be J.C. Latham.
You're still looking at the relics of Rand Carthon's drafting and not Mike Borgonzi's. So you're still hoping that you get something that you're salvaging out of the Carthon years and then the final years of Robinson, where he just went from drafting pretty well for a while to ice cold. And just when the pandemic hit, he just nothing went right.
No.
Forgot how to draft.
I don't know if I would say that. Like, he knew how to go up to the podium and submit a name, but somewhere in there,
He knew the process,
somewhere in
the
there,
disconnect.
the protocol.
something went terribly wrong. Right? They got nothing. But yeah, Gray, Latham, sure. Even James Williams on a lower level would be nice. Like, it's those guys too, right? It's James Williams, a 7th round pick, Jalen Harrell, a 7th round pick. Those guys are still on the team. So, like, even if you're filling out your roster with guys that you trust and can be role players, that's better than complete whiffs. Like we were talking about, Derek, there's one thing hitting a home run. Like, you hope that Cam Ward and Carnell Tate are home runs. But there's also, like, you need a certain amount of singles and doubles and triples in there too. And they had anything but that, right? They were getting nothing. So you have to go back to the well of the free agency pool or just the guys on the street. And that's just not a way to build a winning roster.
No, it's not. I think just because the importance of this player to the quarterback, I think it has to be J.C. Latham. They got to start, because even now, they don't have really nothing solidified outside of Peter Skoronski, because everybody else is still working. JC, even he is working through some things as far as, being healthy and everything else. And, Dan Moore, he has to prove that, the signing wasn't a bad signing. He didn't have a great year last year. You just hope that he can improve this year. But the two guys that you want as cornerstones of your offense line is the two guys you drafted with in the last 4 or 5 years. You re-sign one, and then J.C. Latham is the other guy. Listen, it's not as important. I'm not going to even say that because in today's football, I think the right tackle is just as important as the left tackle, because what they're doing with these defenses, we see it here in our own backyard where they're rotating those defensive linemen. They're putting fresh guys out there all the time. They're putting guys on ends and switching up the line, the front line. So, yes, you got to have a left tackle, but you better damn sure have a right tackle.
And it was not a good season for J.C. Latham
Exactly.
last season. We talked about this last week. J.C. Latham had 14 total penalties called against him, according to Pro Football Focus, tied for the most of all offensive players in the NFL last season.
Yeah, so he has to. I think he is the guy. I do believe Cedric Gray will earn a second contract, but I think he may get paid. There's a possibility that he gets paid more with someone else. Not to say that the Titans wouldn't keep him or wouldn't want to keep him, but he may just play sort of out of what the Titans have slotted for that position when you're talking about your second contract. So I think he will, but I think it has to be JC. I'm not even worried about some of the other guys you guys said, because those are, you need your singles, but what if those guys aren't singles? You just gonna bring some more guys in anyway. But these guys like Latham and Gray, especially Latham, these are not singles. These are cornerstone guys.
foundation,
Exactly.
yes.
So JC needs to have that Peter Skoronski development. That Peter Skoronski where it's just, okay, Peter started playing really well 2 years ago toward the latter part of the season. Then last year he has just a breakout season. That needs to be JC Latham, because he along with Peter need to be the two guys that they're building this offensive line around.
And how confident are you that Latham can make a Skoronski-esque leap?
I'm confident that he can, and I know I hesitated, but I'm confident that he can. Now, would he be considered as a top tier right offensive tackle, or will he be considered as a good offensive tackle? I think he can. I think he's one of those guys that can get a contract, but one, he has to stay healthy. I think that's first and foremost, because he hadn't been able to stay healthy completely since he's been here.
615-737-1025. Taking your thoughts on the next batch of Titans players who need big contracts. Now that Skoronski and Simmons have been taken care of, who needs to be next? How confident are you that Cedric Gray, J.C. Latham, Jim Dike, Alec Eyeman, or Gunnar Helm can be those next players to get those big contracts? 615-737-1025. Randomly, one texter says, could Will Levis pull a Tim Tebow and switch to tight end or anything like that? Maybe with his interception experience, he might be a pretty good free safety.
Nah.
Not seeing it.
Not seeing it.
You guys think Tajay Spears has any chance to get another contract with the Titans? Or do you think this is clearly it? They're going to move on from him after this year, no matter what.
Barring an explosion, I do not envision a scenario where Tajay Spears continues to be a member of this team.
I tend to agree.
He's going to be a hard weight, like Adam said, unless he just has this breakout year. I can't see, unless they choose to move on from Pollard, because I think he has another year after this one, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I believe Pollard is a free agent.
There's a free agent after this. Well, that may be, he may end up, because then either you're going to draft another running back, or you're going to go with Singleton, who's going to be a second-year player if he makes the team, and some other guys. I would tend to believe that if he has a good season, meaning Spears, I think they would be more inclined to re-sign him back than not. Because, again, if Pollard's on his last year, you're looking to move on from Pollard, period. Unless he has like 1,800 yards, which I hope it happened, but
you could bet for 1,000.
Yeah, I'm not betting. Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, exactly.
615-737-1025. Jerry says, I think J.C. Latham will play just well enough to go somewhere else and get overpaid, just like Dan Moore. He won't be paid here.
That's a
then where does that leave you?
Yeah,
Who's your tackle then? That's why you hope it doesn't get to that. That absolutely could happen.
Yeah.
But that's a terrible dilemma to be in. Do we overpay for a guy that we don't really think is that great? Or do we have to go back to the well of who's out there? Or do we use our first-round pick on a tackle? I mean, these are things you don't want to answer. You want JC to grab that job and say, that's my job. Like, he's had some hardships, right? The injuries, that made it really tough on him last year. He's still very young. So I'm optimistic that he will at least get the next deal, even if he's not, quote, he's not like in the Skoronski category of top 10 in the league.
615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction and wrap up the show coming up next. Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vengen and Donick 1025. The game. All right. Our final superhero theme song quiz question. Again, I have no idea.
I think this is Captain America.
Look at you go, D
Yeah.
man.
Captain
Yeah.
America.
It was a little patriotic. That's how you figured it out.
I figured out Captain America.
All right. We didn't do too bad.
No.
Good
We
job,
all chipped
everybody.
in.
We did a good job, everybody. Good job, everybody.
Good job, Connor.
Now you know just how much of a nerd I am.
You can be a nerd in many different ways.
Yeah.
Just because you're nerdy about one thing doesn't mean you're going to be nerdy about something else. I mean, look at me, right? You would like if someone said Adam hates superhero. I don't hate superhero movies. It's just not for me. Some of you may be shocked. No, I'm just not like a comic book / superhero guy. Just not.
It's never been, huh?
One of many weird things about me. I don't like reading fiction. Like I think it's a waste of time. I want to read something and learn something. So I'm not really into like the fantasy world.
No, I
in
understand
any
it
way, shape,
completely.
or form. But I also like professional wrestling. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, me too.
I contain multiple.
I don't like fiction, but I love wrestling.
That's right. It's still real to me, damn it. It's not fiction. It's real.
Sorry, this is a Wendy's.
So we've got the Little League World Series on in the studio tomorrow. Nolensville going for the Southeast Regional Championship against Phoenix City, Alabama.
Phoenix City, Alabama.
The Nolensville Little League team, a.k.a. the Fighting Rex Rhodes, because Rex Rhodes the only person I know who lives in Nolensville.
Nolensville, over the last several years, along with Goodlettsville.
Mm-hmm.
All the Villes.
The Vales.
Well, but those two have been superpowers for the last 10 or 15 years now, and they alternate representation really for the state of Tennessee. Nobody in the east or the western part of the state has been able to, at least in Little League baseball, hang with those two. It's become something different than it was when I was growing up, which is it's not better or worse necessarily, but it's different. It is an amazingly unique thing to watch. We've got it on in the studio now. It's just always compelling to watch young kids play, especially on TV where you're showing the umpires and you're showing the coaches and the parents, things that can be very volatile and affect the fun part of the game, which is what you want to preserve at all costs. Mm-hmm. But there's a great part of it too. So Nolensville's back in the hunt. It's almost like you tune in every August and you're like, who's there? Is it Nolensville or is it Goodlettsville this year? Well, it's Nolensville. All right, let's watch. So tomorrow, 2:00 when we're on the air, they're playing Alabama. If they win, they go to Williamsport. And Carl Ravitch, who has been laid off from ESPN, is going to be announcing the Little League World Series for ESPN.
There you go.
As a lame duck, I guess.
Good for him. Also a terrible look for ESPN. Like, good for Carl Ravitch. Hey, I've been laid off. It sucks. If you can get the work, you get it. But if you're ESPN, you're like, yeah, we laid this guy off, but we still need him to call the Little League World Series.
Did they need him to, or was it his choice to do it? I don't know all the ins and outs of how that worked.
He's doing it.
He's doing it.
Yeah. And on ESPN. So
Ravitch was given the opportunity, according to Andrew Marchand of The Athletic. Ravitch was given the opportunity to work some summer dates. He will call the August 12th New York Yankees Seattle Mariners game and will be on some Little League World Series action. He has been the lead. He has been the lead on the Little League World Series.
So he loves it.
Ironically, I've enjoyed Carl Ravitch much more as a studio host, a Sports Center host, any kind of studio panel format, way more than him as a play-by-play guy. So it's interesting that the only thing he's got going as he transitions out of ESPN is play-by-play, which I don't think is his strong suit, honestly. And I'm curious where he goes from here. A career ESPN guy, 30-something years at ESPN. So what's next for him? That's a interesting question.
The trend is to get your
for those
own
of us
platform.
in the business.
Yeah. The trend is to get your own sort of podcast or whatnot.
That can go well, and it can also.
He already got a fan. I'm sure he got a fan base, that'll go over with it.
And I'm sure he's made enough to where he's not
hurting the work.
Yeah.
Phoenix City, Alabama.
Phoenix.
Not sure where that is.
It's in like southeast southeastern-ish Alabama.
Phoenix City. What's the population of Phoenix City?
Let's see. The population of Phoenix City in 2020, 38,816.
It's not a huge place. But this is the thing that from year to year, you're really not sure because back in the day, when the only Little League game you would ever see every year was ABC's Wide World of Sports. And it was truly the small town. It could have been any small town, right? Because everybody played Little League. There was no travel ball back then. So everybody was playing Little League baseball. So it was truly a national championship among teams from basically your neighborhood. Now, because less people are playing Little League and a lot more kids are playing travel ball, it's either a team of hybrid players who play travel but also play enough to qualify for the Little League. And also there's less Little League. So you're taking kids from a wider radius of area who are eligible to play for that Little League. So it's just different than it was. Like I said, not better, not worse, but different.
There are a lot of notable people from Phoenix City, Alabama.
Okay.
Including Tim Hudson, former Major League Baseball pitcher.
Okay.
He was quite good.
And Bob the Drag Queen.
Okay.
The winner of
who did he
season
pitch for?
8 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Who did he pitch for?
Season
8.
Season 8.
He
Dang
won
it, I missed season 8
of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Was he on the same team with Tim Hudson when they came up through the Little League in Phoenix City?
It's possible.
Did they know each other? Oh, it could have.
It's possible. Yeah, a lot of notable people. Now they may not be notable to me, but there are a lot of people underneath notable people
From Phoenix City.
from Phoenix. That's not spelled like Phoenix, Arizona. There's no O. in
Phoenix.
Phoenix City. So good luck to Nolansville tomorrow in the Southeast Regional Championship of the Little League Baseball World Series. Again, one more congratulations to the Nashville Cats on winning the Arena Crown Championship yesterday. Jeff Fisher, Jeff Jarrett, Greg Pogue, all of our friends at the Nashville Cats, congratulations. Actually, I don't know if this happened when we were on the air, but apparently the championship trophy made it to the station and we were not informed.
What?
I think it was this morning before we got here.
Seriously?
Okay. Then you all are forgiven.
Okay, so here is the question. We've had this question before, and Willy, he doesn't agree with me on this. Neither do you, I believe.
I don't know where
The
you're going.
whole, announcers getting rings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so should Chase and Big Joe get a ring? And Jake.
I said this. This is what I said before about that. We were talking about the Stanley Cup. A ring is fine.
Okay.
I'll take the ring.
Okay. All right.
I think that would be very reasonable. Not that I would sit there and expect it, but I think that's, if you're a part of it on that level, putting your name on the cup is a different thing to me. That's where I drew the line. I was like, I would feel really weird if they wanted to put an announcer's name on the Stanley Cup. A ring, I'm hoping, like, Chase put a lot of time in.
Oh, absolutely.
And Joe, like they were at a lot of the games. To me, they were
doing all of the play-by-play, right?
Yeah, the home games anyway. I don't know if they went on the road or anything. Like, to me, that's another thing. Like, are you in the group that is there through the journey at home? Like when the plane gets in late, or you're checking into that hotel at like 2:30. Like, okay, we're all in this together, man. You're in our group. This is how we ride. Tomorrow we're getting up. We got a game. There's something about that, right? Being a part of the journey that I think would get you noteworthy of something like that.
I think they should get a ring.
I'm not going to say no.
I think they should. It'd be a nice ring.
Do they get rings?
I don't know. If they do, then Jake, Big Joe, and Chase deserves one.
And
I
Nick
think
Frazier.
Chase and Big Joe, or Nick Frazier, I think they do all of the games, don't they?
I think they do the home ones. I can't remember who goes on the road.
Oh, okay.
But it's not them.
different. Oh, okay. I thought they did it in another fashion. Like,
Might be Greg Pogue that does it on the road.
maybe. Could be. Well, Chase is here. He would let us know. Like, he ain't even text us. Like, no, I don't do it. Yeah, I do it.
I mean, I told you this at the beginning of the show. Chase's call on the TV broadcast was played today on the Pat McAfee show. So Chase has officially big-timed all of us.
Yes.
We are the little people now to Chase McCabe. We do not deserve his attention.
He don't even text us no more. He would have usually texted us like, yeah, guys, I do or I don't, or this sounds good, or hey, what about this? Nah, he didn't made McAfee.
He's going out to celebrate. he's going out to celebrate being on the Pat McAfee show, and also the Cats winning a championship, but primarily being on the McAfee show. But you know what? He did a great job on the call, and it was an exciting ending. I mean, if you're trying to script the final play of a championship football game, a goal line stand, you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. And think about this. Had that pass, that desperation pass, been caught,
Oh my goodness.
the game's tied, and
Yes.
it's going to come down to the extra point or whatever.
Exactly.
But that really would have gone viral, right?
Oh,
Because you
yeah.
just don't see. Have you ever seen a guy try to go over the top
Mm-hmm.
for a running play, like just dive over the pile, extend the ball over the goal line, get pushed back, and then throw a touchdown pass at any
I'm
football
sure
level?
it has happened.
I can't think of one though.
I think
Definitely
it
not
may
in
have
a
happened
championship
in
game.
No, not in the championship. I think it has happened in the NFL a few times.
Like I was wondering about things like if illegal man downfield or something. If it's a running
Yeah.
play, right? You're
But is
pushing,
that so close that
right? There probably wasn't time for the
Yeah.
guys. It was a great presence of mind by the QB to say, "Okay, I'm not going to make it this way, so I'm throwing it." Like the guy was open.
yeah, he had it.
He had it.
He had it.
Yeah.
And he feels bad.
Yeah.
He feels bad. But I mean, he had the quarterback's leg. I was wondering why they didn't call quarterback down, because he had his leg up in the air, the defensive lineman, and they still. I guess it happened so fast that it was just like, okay, let me get it off. And then you never want to call him down on the last play like that.
We jokingly, Adam had me critique the call of Chase and also Jake Lyman from our staff. They both did a good job because it's such an unorthodox play. It was a crazy way to decide a championship game, which is probably what got the attention of Pat McAfee's show.
Which made Chase's head even.
It's very
bigger.
large.
Yes, very
Very
large.
large.
He has to get
Pretty
one
big
of,
to begin with.
what are those hats called that they used to wear? The kids used to wear the big old hats on the sideline. The players used to wear in college. They had to stop wearing them.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
the hat was so big, and they would put them on.
I was on
They do it in
McAfee, too.
baseball.
You don't hear me getting big headed.
Exactly. He's on McAfee. Look at him working, doing a great job, Chase.
What's coming up on the 6th, Connor?
Oh, same old, same old. Lots of Titans talk. But don't go anywhere, because we'll talk about Carnell Tate. We'll talk about the defense. We'll talk about all things that happened in the Titans. And, of course, your favorite game, Adam. The game taking the nation by storm.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Where
are
are they now? Big fan.
Yes.
We might have to get Willy played it once. We might have to get Derek to play it.
Derek's played before.
Okay. Well, then we might have to do it once as a show, just for kicks and giggles. But that'll do it for us today. We will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Titans practice in Santa Clara, California. Nick Suss of the Tennessean expected to join us live from California following practice. To break it down for us, Trevor Malich will join us as well. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 3.
Be loved, loving your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. Yeah, that means that don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We're back on these airwaves starting at 3 p.m. tomorrow on 102.5, discussing everything Tennessee Titans and more. And as I always say, we're going to be talking and
You're going to be listening.
peace. The 6 is next.